Hello Exile, I just returned from the Chaos Trial trenches. That's right, I've taken the time to run 50 Inscribed Ultimatums to put this currency farming strategy through its paces. I was gonna do 60 in a row, but let's be real, that would just be mind numbing and my cozy room over at the psych ward will be waiting for me. In all seriousness though, I wanted to show you exactly what you could expect for investing your valuable time into the Chaos Trials and if it's the right content for you. Let us begin. So what are the Chaos Trials? The Trials of Chaos are one of two trials in Path of Exile 2 and are arguably one of the easier ones to do, and the shortest. In fact, they are extremely safe in most cases, and if you're a baby exile and haven't done them yet, here's a quick recap of what you can expect. They feature 10 rooms. Each room you have to choose between a number of debuffs that will stack in future rooms. At the end, you'll be able to collect your juicy rewards. Simple, right? The problem I have with them is the repetitiveness. They are quick, but running the same tile set on repeat for close on 16 hours plays havoc with one's mind. However, the rewards may surprise you. So why on earth would we put ourselves through these? The answer is Shrimple, Soul Cores. At the time I recorded this video, the more common Soul Cores are selling for around 10 to 15 exalts, with the most valuable at around 690 exalts. So you can see the potential here. Each run you are guaranteed 3 Soul Cores. Now which ones you will get are entirely RNG dependent, but given enough volume they can stack up pretty quickly. You could also sell the fragments that you get from killing the last mini boss in room 10. At the time I recorded this, they sold for between 25 up to around 84 exalts. Now this is your choice, as you could take a chance at killing the trialmaster at the end for a chance at some good loot. But for this test, I didn't. The nice thing about the trials is that they have a low barrier to entry. You can make a comfortable income off of just running the ultimatum, which at the time of recording costs 1 exalt. A major investment will come from your time, and how much of them you can actually tolerate in a row. Before we dive into all the loot that I gathered, here are some tips that I found while doing the trials that will make your runs a little easier. You can animation cancel lever pulls by clicking on the lever and dodging immediately. It will still activate the lever and you won't have to go through the entire animation sequence. This is especially useful if you pick the Shade debuff and he sticks as close to you as a fangirl does for a rock band. It doesn't work with the Soul Core room however, so keep that in mind. When in the idol escort room, sticking just behind the idol will make heart tethers and other ground debuffs spawn in behind it instead of right on top of the idol, making the whole room easier to navigate. These rooms are painfully slow, so every little second counts. One last point I would like to make is to stress the importance of clear speed, as this will directly influence how many divines you can scrape together per hour. I'm currently running a Stormweaver Spark build which makes clearing these really quick. Even so, the fastest I was able to do a run was around 15 minutes. I also have more than 100% increased rarity. While not mandatory, it does affect general drops from monsters in the trial. It does not affect the trial rewards itself. Throughout these trials, you will stumble upon rooms that are designed to time gate you. Like in this room here, which forces you to wait 1 minute and 30 seconds while killing waves of monsters, which spawn agonizingly slow. Or the infamous idol room. Of all the rooms in the trial, this one I disliked the most. The idol moves painfully slow and just randomly slows down for no reason. The blood ritual room isn't too bad. Each of the circles will spawn around 8 waves of monsters and can be done pretty quickly. I guess one can only wish for mechanics like in the Sekima trials where killing rares will reduce the timer. Alrighty, the moment we have all been waiting for, it's time to see just how much currency we generated for our 16 plus hours investment. Before we dive into the selling of all of these, I chose to only sell the Soul Cores and other worthwhile currency that could be quickly liquidated. As you can see, we got quite a few fragments from our runs, but because I want to run the boss a few dozen times, I decided not to sell them. However, I will still list the total as if I did sell them so we can see exactly how much we got. Starting with the meat of all of our loot, the Soul Cores themselves. First up is the Soul Core of Topotante. I had 23 of these which were going for 12.5 exalts at the time, for a total of 291 exalts. Next is the Soul Core of Takati. I had 20 of them which sold for a total of 257 exalts. Now for the Soul Core of Opalotti. I sold them for 12.14 exalts and with 29 of them netted me 354. Jiquani. I had 10 of these going for 12.2 exalts a pop for a total of 122 exalts. The soul core of Xalotl, one of the more valuable soul cores we can get from the trials. I had 14 of these bad boys, which at 81 exalts per netted me 1,134 exalts profit. Not too shabby. The exalts are piling up now. Now, the soul core of Sitaqualatl. These are also fairly valuable, and at the time were selling for 42 exalts each for a delectable profit of 840 exalts. 2 soul cores of Zamoto got me 29 exalts. Nice. Chopek for 33 exalts. 10 soul cores of Takaba for a decent profit of 125. A little profit from Atmahua for 49 exalts. 4 soul cores of Xalotl for 52 exalts. Next, a teeny profit from Xantippe, giving us 25 exalts. And now for the big boy himself, the most desirable soul core of the lot. The soul core of Azkapa. At the time, just one of these was selling for 696 exalts. And yes, in all my 50 runs, we only got one of these. So just from the soul cores alone, we got 4,007 exalts. Now for the smaller currency we found from random monster drops in the trial. Over 50 runs, we got 96 Chaos Orbs, which leads me to believe that the trials have a higher chance of dropping them in general. I sold them at the exchange at around 5.2 exalts per at the time, netting me about 508 exalts. The other currencies I didn't think were worth liquidating at the time, mostly because it's been a decent while since early access was launched, and things like Regal Orbs and Vol Orbs just aren't worth enough to exchange them. So I left them out. I did exchange the 2 Orbs of Chance that I dropped for 7 exalts though. Not much, but it's still a better ratio than the smaller currency items. So instead I will add the smaller currency to my ever-growing hoard to use for maps and other random things. I was also lucky enough to drop 2 raw Divine Orbs from the trials. As these are entirely RNG dependent, I won't be counting them in the final tally, but they are nice to have nonetheless. The total amount from the soul cores and other liquidated currency came to 4,522 exalts, or 16.32 divines. Now, remember when I said that I chose not to sell the fragments we got in the trials because I wanted to run the boss later? Well, if you chose to sell them, here's what you can expect. I had 12 Victorious Fate fragments, which at the time were going for 26 exalts apiece. Selling all of those would have given me a profit of 312 exalts. With 16 Cowardly Fates going for 24 exalts each would have netted 384 exalts. Weirdly, I dropped more Deadly Fates compared to the other fragments, which are the more valuable kind of fragment that you can get from the trials. I got 21 of these from my runs, and at 80 exalts a pop at the time would have given me a whopping 1,680 exalts. So in total, selling all of these fragments would tally up to an additional 2,376 exalts profit, which if you convert it to divines would be around 8.5 divines in raw profit. Not too bad. And so, as a recap, in Soul Cores we profited 4,522 exalts. Assuming you decided to sell the fragments and throw in the profit of 2,376 exalts from those as well, we would have a total profit of 6,898 exalts, or 24.9 divines in total. I guess when you look at it properly, that's enough to buy an Ingenuity. Because my average runtime was 15 minutes per run, that would make our total profit per hour 1.5 divines. If you don't sell the fragments, we're looking at around 1 div per hour for your time. It's honest work, I'd say. Of course, bear in mind that all these values were calculated at the time of recording, so your number may vary if the market goes tits up. I hope it's at least bigger for you. So hopefully this video helped you figure out if running these trials are worth your time. I must say this video took a long time to make, more so from actually running the trials. If you find this video helped you or you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. This is but the first of many videos to come, and hopefully you'll be along for the ride. Stay sane, Exile.